Have you ever sat in silence, wondering if she's even thinking about you? She hasn't messaged. She hasn't called. Something in your gut tells you she still feels something. But you're not wrong, because the truth is, she's thinking about you. But she won't say it. Not out loud. Not even to herself. You see, her silence isn't a sign of indifference. It's not proof that she's moved on, or that you no longer matter. Her silence is conflicted kind that brews deep within, tug of war between her emotions and her pride, between what she feels and what society has told her she should do. We live in a world where women are taught that vulnerability is dangerous, that if she reaches out first, she's weak, that silence is power. And so, instead of saying, "I miss you," she scrolls, she posts, she waits, hoping you'll be the one to break. And meanwhile, you, like most men, are left guessing, thinking, if she cared, wouldn't she say something? You've been trained to believe that her silence means she doesn't care. But what if it's the exact opposite? What if her silence is the sign that she cares too much? This video is for the man who's tired of decoding mixed signals, for the man who's done bending over backwards for breadcrumbs, because today we peel back the curtain, we expose the emotional games, the conditioning, and the quiet battles no one talks about. And most importantly, we help you reclaim clarity. So before you send that message, before you doubt your worth, stay with me. What you're about to hear might change the way you see silence forever. Let me tell you something most men never hear. When a woman pulls away, it's not always because she's lost interest. Sometimes it's because she cares more than she knows how to handle. You see, we've been taught to think that distance means disconnection, that when she goes quiet, she's done. But what if her silence isn't rejection? What if it's protection? A woman can be caught in a storm of emotion, missing you, thinking about you, wanting to reach out. But then a whisper in her mind says, don't be the first to break. Don't look weak. Don't give him that power again. And that whisper doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from years, decades, some social conditioning. It's from being told that if she shows too much emotion, she'll be taken for granted. That if she opens up, she'll lose control. So instead of speaking up, she shuts down. Not because she wants to hurt you, because she's afraid you could hurt her. Her pride steps in, her ego builds a wall, and she becomes distant. Not out of cruelty, but out of self-defense. Ask yourself this: have you ever pulled back from someone, not because you didn't care, but because you cared too much? Because letting them know the truth felt risky. That's her position, okay? That's the battle. So the next time you feel her growing colder, don't jump to conclusions. Don't assume you did something wrong. Understand, this her silence might just be the sound of her heart. It's quietly trying to protect itself. And once you see that clearly, you stop reacting out of insecurity and start responding with strength. There's a war going on inside her, but you're not invited to see it. It's not a war of logic. It's not even about you, really. It's between her emotions and her ego. Two forces pulling in opposite directions. One saying, reach out, tell him you miss him. The other whispering, don't you dare. He should come to you. You may think she's moved on, that she's cold, detached, but behind the curated selfies and cryptic quotes is someone checking your stories before she even replies to her best friend. Someone who rereads your old messages, analyzing your tone, wondering if you meant what you said, or if she imagined it all, and yet she still doesn't text. Why? Because she's been taught, again and again, that to express emotion first is to lose. That if she shows she cares, she risks being the one who gets hurt. So instead, she performs strength. She posts about freedom. She flirts in public. She smiles just enough to make sure you see a tan, maybe feel a little sting. And here's the twist: most men never realize those posts aren't about her moving on. They're signals, smoke from a fire she won't admit is still burning. Her ego builds the mask, but her emotion, it's what's behind the eyes when she checks if you've watched her story dash again. So when you see her seeming unbothered, ask yourself, is it confidence or is it armor? 'Cause in this silent war inside her heart, your name isn't forgotten, it's repeated. It's not out loud, but where it counts most in her thoughts, she pretends not to have, and the stronger her ego acts, the louder her emotion is fighting to be heard. From a young age, men are taught one thing: chase. Go after what you want. Prove yourself. Be persistent. And in some parts of life, that advice works: careers, goals, fitness. But in love, especially with a woman who's pulling away, that chase can cost you everything: your peace, your dignity, and most dangerously, your self-respect. Because the more you chase someone who's pulling back, the more you tell her, without saying a word, that she's in control, that her silence controls your emotions, that your sense of worth depends on her next move. But here's the truth few men realize: the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Not a cold, angry nothing. Not silence out of bitterness. I'm talking about grounded stillness. Stoic composure. The kind of presence that says, I don't beg, I don't perform, don't negotiate my value. See, when you stop reacting, something interesting happens. She begins to reflect. Your stillness becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, she starts to wonder, why isn't he chasing me? Did I lose him? Was I wrong to pull away? And that quiet discomfort, that is where power shifts. Not because you played a game, but because you finally stopped playing hers. Stillness isn't passivity. It's strength under control. It's the confidence to let silence speak for you, okay? And the man who can hold his frame when emotions are loud, is the one who earns respect without saying a word. So, you're wondering what to do when she grows distant. Remember this: your reaction is her reward, but your stillness, that's her reality check. Here's what most men never realize. Her ego doesn't want your love, wants your reaction every time you reach out. When she's being cold, distant, or silent, you're not winning her heart. You're feeding her ego. You're confirming the story she's telling herself that she still has control. But something remarkable happens when you stop. When you no longer chase, when you no longer react to her breadcrumb texts or carefully curated stories meant to pull you back in. Suddenly, the energy shifts, not because you're trying to manipulate her, but because you're finally centered in your own value. And that's when the questions begin, not in your mind, but in hers. Did I lose him? Why isn't he reaching out? Was I pushed too far? You've gone silent, not with bitterness, but with grounded composure. And now her emotional side begins to wake up. It's not the side that posts quotes about independence, but the side that used to light up when your name appeared on her screen. Eventually, you'll see the white flag. A random "Hey, how have you been?" A memory she suddenly wanted to share. These aren't accidents. These are surrender signals. Tiny cracks in the ego wall she's built to protect herself from feeling too much. But here's the key. This only happens if you don't fold first, if you stay calm, if you stay still, if you resist the urge to seek validation and instead let time reveal the truth. Because real power isn't in chasing, it's in choosing not to be moved by a game you never agreed to play. And when she sees that she can no longer pull you emotionally, she realizes the connection was real all along. Let's talk about something no one wants to admit. How she was trained to expect your chase, even when she gives you nothing. From the time she was young, the message was everywhere. If a man wants you, he'll prove it. If he stops trying, he never really cared. Movies told her that silence is power. Pop songs celebrated women who walk away and never look back. Her friend said, don't text him first, let him come to you. And over time, this turned into her playbook, one where distance becomes her strategy. And your pursuit becomes the proof. But here's the part no one taught her. When a man keeps chasing a woman who pulls away, Something starts to break, not in the relationship, but in how she sees him. Because deep down, when you chase someone who isn't meeting you halfway, it doesn't read as love. It reads as neediness. It signals, I don't value myself enough to stop. And that creates a subtle shift when she can't always explain. She loses respect. She stops admiring you, not because you weren't kind or consistent, but because something about endless effort without return starts to feel weak. You might think you're being romantic, but to her, it begins to look like desperation. And here's the harsh truth. Women don't fall in love with men they can pity. They fall in love with men they can respect. So, if you've been doing everything right, texting, showing up, proving your worth, but still getting coldness in return, maybe it's not about what you're doing wrong. Maybe it's about what she was never taught to value. Because in a world that rewards emotional distance, your effort isn't always seen as strength. It's sometimes mistaken for surrender. Let's slow down for a moment and get honest. What happens to a man when he keeps chasing a woman who's emotionally pulling away? At first, it feels like you're being persistent, like you're showing her you care. You tell yourself, I'm not giving up. It's what love looks like. But here's the truth. No one told you every time you chase someone who withdraws, you're teaching them something dangerous, that your self-worth is negotiable, that they can disappear and you'll still be there, that they don't need to respect Ubi because you'll keep proving yourself anyway. In that pattern, it doesn't just affect the relationship, it rewires you. You start doubting yourself. You start questioning your instincts. You feel anxious when she doesn't reply, and relieved when she finally does. That emotional roller coaster, it's not love. It's the slow erosion of your identity. You become a version of yourself that's always waiting, always hoping, always adjusting, until one day you don't even recognize the man in the mirror anymore. Because chasing, when it's not reciprocated, it's more than wasted energy, it's self-abandonment. And here's the hardest part. She may not even see what you're doing as love. She sees it as compliance, as emotional dependence, And that doesn't draw her closer, pushes her further away. So ask yourself honestly, are you being loving? Or are you trying not to be left behind? Because when a man gives up his sense of self to keep someone else interested, he doesn't just lose the girl, he loses himself. Let's clear up one of the biggest lies men are taught, that your strength is measured by how much you can give, how long you can hold on, how far you're willing to go to prove you care. But real strength, it's not in chasing someone who doesn't see your worth. It's in having the courage to walk away the moment you're no longer respected. You see, the right woman, she won't leave you guessing. She won't use silence as leverage. She won't play the game of detachment just to see how desperate you become. When she values you, she'll show up with clarity. She'll match your energy. She'll meet you halfway, not because you forced her to, but because she wants to. But when you send message after message, hoping to keep her attention, that's not love. That's not leadership. That's surrender. And every time you reach out after she's gone cold, carrier, proving you care, you're proving you're willing to betray your own peace to stay on her radar. So let me ask you, is that really strength? Or is strength the man who stays calm, composed, and refuses to beg for connection? A man who knows if she needs silence to feel powerful. She's not ready for the kind of love I offer. Because, in the end, true masculinity isn't about being louder. It's about being grounded. It's knowing that your presence alone is enough. And if someone can't see that, you don't force it. You walk with dignity, not to punish her, not to prove a point, but to honor yourself. So, let's bring this full circle. The moment you choose stillness over reaction, when you remain calm, grounded, and rooted in your own worldview, change the game. You disrupt the pattern she was expecting, and in that quiet shift, something powerful happens. You reclaim yourself. Because here's the truth, a woman may be drawn to charm, confidence, or appearance. But she respects a man she cannot move emotionally at will, not because he's cold, but because he's in control of his own inner world. That's the kind of man who stands out today. You don't need to chase, convince, or explain yourself endlessly. Your peace is the proof. Your stillness is your strength. And your ability to walk away from what disrespects you. That's your real power. This is what modern Stoicism looks like. Not emotional numbness, but emotional discipline. You still feel, you still care, but you no longer sacrifice your dignity just to stay in someone's life. You've heard enough voices telling you to try harder, to prove yourself, to be more available. But what if what you really needed was to be more aligned with your purpose, your values? So, if this message spoke to something deep inside, use something quiet, something solid, then do this. Comment Stoic below. Subscribe, because every week we sharpen the mind, strengthen the spirit, and raise the standard for what it means to be a man today. And share this with the next brother who needs a reminder that strength doesn't chase, it leads. This isn't just a message, it's a movement. And you're not behind. You're becoming.